So Aputure just sent us their new 4-set of 4-foot Infinibars. And instead of looking at them and reviewing them from a tech aspect, we wanted to showcase them in a real lighting scenario, and it's recreating a scene from one of our favorite TV shows, Euphoria. So the first thing that we're gonna do is we're gonna break down this scene by our thought process on how we lit this and kind of turn off each of the lights and go one by one and really show you the thought process we have when lighting a scene like this. I always try to think of what the cinematographer was thinking in terms of motivating a light source. This scene is very home, this scene is very late night, and it already gives you a vibe. And the main thing that I saw when I looked at this photo is like that window is motivating everything else in the room. And that's exactly what we started with. Right now we are in the mezzanine floor of our studio, and I saw that we had a window here and also we have a couch up here, so it's something easy to recreate with what we have. And then we knew that we can throw in a little other things to really spice it up and add some salt and pepper to the image. The first thing we did is we have this window back here, and I knew that they used like a big tungsten source to blow it out, but we didn't really have anything at our disposal to do that. So what we did is we put a bed sheet over that. And from there, behind that window, we have an F22C, and we use that because it just spread out all the light. We'd like to use something more direct and something more powerful, but we're using with what we have. And then to add some art into the room and to add some texture to that light, we have 2 sets of drapes that we got on Amazon for like 40 bucks. And we were going for that ivory kind of off-white beige tone. And then we hung it up on a goalpost setup and then just clipped it and then kind of feathered it off and added texture, so it would not just be one overexposed source, but it would have light and dark parts to it. And then from there, we notice in the image that there is also a ledge in the room as well. So we just put a black card there to add some black and some darkness back into that portion of the drapes as well. The next light that we're going to move on to is the main motivated light that is the rim light that is coming around. So when positioning a light like this, we kind of had to play with it where we were putting it, but it's coming from our motivating light source. So we put one of the Infinibars with the actual included grids, which we love because it just kills the spill. And we're gonna turn that on now and see what it does. So this Infinibar behind me is acting as our rim light and our backlight, and we just put it in the position of where that light is coming from. We knew that there was a large tungsten source outside at providing that rim light, and they probably added another tube light like this. And then you can see that it adds a bunch of texture onto the couch, and then my shadow of my head adds a dark part of the image here, and then we have also another light part here. But now we know that we had to wrap that light around to the front of my face so you would see some detail in terms of my expression and everything like that. So we added Infinibar above us, and that is providing the room tone and the fill and soft light back into my face that is really on top of me. So that is just only slightly wrapping around my face and lifting up our entire image. It's very subtle, but this was very necessary and something that we were missing. And generally you do this with any light, as in just splashing it up into the raw, providing room tone. Luckily, the Infinibars are on magnets, so we just put it up above the light fixture and just stuck it to that, and it was good enough. So we have our motivating light, and we have our backlight from our motivating light, and then we have some room tone to lift everything. Now we're gonna talk about our main key light that we use. So we studied a lot of commercials and movies that look like this and generally have that warm, soft, natural tone. And a lot of people use this technique, which is a technique of cove lighting or just bouncing light into something that's large and warm back into the talent's face. And generally people do this with muslin, and this is something that Roger Deakins does a lot in his work. And we really wanted to experiment in our own work in this example here. And this is a pure example of testing things before you even, when it matters. So in this case here, we have an Infinibar pointed at a sheet of muslin, and that is bouncing back into my face. So if we turn that on, so this is adding that warmth, natural glow that the scene is known for. And it's the perfect example of using cove lighting properly to add that fill back into my face. And another benefit of this is getting a large catch light. This is something that I've struggled with a lot in my work when establishing these warm scenes that are supposed to feel dramatic and also stylized is how do you add a large source into this and give yourself a catch light. That's what a catch light is associated with. Generally, I would just put an MC in front of the actor's face and that would be about it. In this case, we're using a large source that you can pick up in my eye and you can see it. So I love doing things like this, especially with the team, because this is not me just creating the scenes, this is all of us. Jason was in there being a DP, Adrian as well. And this is a big learning lesson for us all, because whenever we're on jobs, we're always making decisions together. And that's what I love about this whole collaborative process of filmmaking. And what I want to showcase to you guys, I know that we're using the Aputure Infinibars, which is still at a good price point, but a lot of everything else we're using is like common household items and stuff that you can find on the internet for under $20. The big diffusion that we're using here to really blow out this window to accentuate what we have there is just a bed sheet. These shears from Amazon, 20 bucks each, and there's nothing special about them. As you can see, our set from here is very dirty, but we're shooting on here because the shot is so tight. We're shooting on 100mm here, and we knew that we could get away with a lot of this stuff. And then for another art thing, we just had a plant that we had downstairs that we just brought up here, and then just a couch. So we just wanted to showcase to you guys that you can achieve movie-like looks with a small set of lights. Like this was something that we set up in an hour that we had to test a lot, but it was pretty simple to pull off with the lights that we have, which with such a versatile system. It allowed us to really test things, and I'm gonna bring Kelvin light on into the next commercials that we actually shoot. And then what we wanted to showcase that this was shot on was actually an FX3. So we are shooting this on the new DZO Arliss Primes. And the reason why we shot on this lens combination specifically is because generally movies and TV shows like this are shot on long lenses. And we chose the 100mm to give us that compression as well as so many layers that we have here. So this lens stops all the way down to 1.4, but is extremely tack sharp and something that I'm very impressed with and I'm excited to use on the next commercials. And instead of shooting this on a Sony Venice or any other cinema camera like that, we chose to shoot this on one of my favorite cameras, which is the Sony FX3. And the reason why we chose that is because it gives you an amazing image. In combined with this lens specifically, it just gives you something that is of cinema quality. And the FX3 just allows you so much flexibility with its dual native ISO, as well as the image quality that you get out of it. And I know that in color and in the post process, we can pull something beautiful out of it. We don't have any filtration. This is just a matte box with a ND set in, and just basically our FX3, the lens itself, and then just some ND in front of that. So you don't need this entire rig to pull something off like this, but you can do this with the kit that you have, and you don't need a big budget cinema camera to do it.